I don't think I knew my own taste before trying to answer these questions. Hi everyone, welcome to noxreads. I'm Nox, and today's video is the Get to Know My Taste tag, created by Sam at Thoughts and Tomes and Mari from My Name is Mari Ness. The Get to Know My Taste tag is pretty much that, a tag to get to know my taste, which was really interesting because I don't think I knew my own taste before trying to answer these questions. I really do think I actually learned a lot about myself from this, like with the first question, which is how do you rate books? My book ratings have evolved over time, I would say. When I first started making book content, when I had my book blog, I didn't give star ratings because they felt so subjective, and they are. But even now, when I was thinking about how do I rate books, it depends on the genre. It depends on the vibe of the day. I usually go from 1 to 5 stars. I think I've, on very special occasions, given 0 stars. But I thought what happened was if I couldn't fault a book, I would give it 5 stars. And I realized that's not the case. Most books start at a 4-star for me. And if they go above and beyond, they get to a 5-star. If I wouldn't really pick them up again, I give them a 3-star. If I really didn't like them though, that's when 2 and 1 stars come in. 1 stars are books that I cannot find any redeeming quality in. And trust me, I do try to find some redeeming quality of some sort in the book. But it's one of those books that just angers me with its existence. So, for an example, 5-star book, a book that I thought went above and beyond and I just absolutely loved, was What Happened to Ruthie Ramirez by Claire Jimenez. When you look at 4 stars though, that's when you get a book like Something More by Jackie Khalile. It's not the best book, but I can't really fault it on anything. I might pick it up again, who knows. A 3-star is a book like Flowers for the Sea by Zinni Rockland. I read it. It was a book. It was not bad, not the best, not that great. I probably will never pick that book up again. But I can't really, again, fault it on anything other than I just didn't enjoy it that much. I'm a little worried to say this next one, but one of my 2 stars was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. And the only reason this book had 2 stars was because I enjoyed the narrators for the audiobook. I had to really try to find something about this book that I enjoyed, and there were 2 narrators, so I got 2 stars. But I did not enjoy the twist. I thought it was stupid. I just really did not enjoy this book, and I did not see what all the hype was about. So it got 2 stars. I'm never picking that book up again. I could not stand it, especially after the twist was revealed. And number 1, a book I do not think has any redeeming qualities is Consent by Annabelle Lyon. It gets 1 star. Honestly, it should get 0 stars. It should get nothing. It loses good day book. But it's on this list because I was trying to think of a 1 star that wasn't a Riley Sager book. Consent is based on ableism, and the writing also just wasn't that good. I read this book and felt like I wanted to bang my head on the table over and over and over and over again. It was just not good. I did not enjoy this book at all. I do think it is one of the worst books I have ever read. And that's honestly not even accounting for the ableist plotline that is just on the writing alone, which I could not stand, and the characters alone. But the ableist premise is also a very important one. The disabled characters are really just a plot device for the abled characters. One who decides to start living like her twin sister who was in a horrible accident, and the other who honestly resents her sister for most of her life until then she's like, I'm going to get justice for my sister. It's a horrible book. Absolutely horrible book. I don't know if it's the fact that I actually knew somebody like one of the disabled characters in the book, and I can't imagine treating that person that way. or if I just have too much empathy for people, and that's why I did not like this book. I don't want this to turn into a rant review. So, we're gonna move on to the next question, but that's my 1 star. Number 2 is, how do you approach reviewing books? What's your review style? Are you analytical, emotional, casual, structured? And I think anyone who knows me knows that the answer is going to definitely be emotional. I am an emotional person by nature. I am emotional in everything I do. So I don't think I know how to not be emotional in things, and that includes my reviews. At the same time, though, I feel like my review style varies platform by platform. So on TikTok, YouTube, things where I'm talking to the camera, it's a lot more casual. And it is a lot more emotional because you're seeing me and I can't really control my face. My grandma said I should never play poker because everybody will know how I feel about things. I never really learned how to mask, which I'm going to say is a good thing as an autistic person, but like, I show everything on my face. There's something about writing out a review that just lends itself to being more structured, though. I think the main thing about my reviews is I do try to avoid spoilers if it's not like a rant as much as possible, though, because I want people to be able to read the book and decide for themselves. And to best achieve that for people, most people would prefer to not be spoiled. I do know some people that do prefer to be spoiled or just don't care about spoilers, like my partner. For the most part, though, people do not want to be spoiled, so I try to accommodate that. Accommodate? That doesn't feel like the right word, but I don't know what the right word would be. A video review would look a lot more like this. So, here's the deal. Back in, I don't remember what month, I read The Delusion by Karen McChristensen. I don't know her name. Her name was Laura, I think. And it is a Christian horror book. The only thing horrifying about that book is the way that it treats mental health and religion. So I'm reading a book right now, Just Lizzie by Karen Wilfred. I'm 41% through this book. I did not realize how far into this book I was. But it's a middle grade novel about a young girl named Lizzie who is dealing with a lot going into her 8th grade year. She had to leave her childhood home after her neighbor tried to force his way in and attacked her mom when it was just her mom and Lizzie that were home. She's dealing with the fact that her older brother, who was like always like took care of her, is now going to college, and you know, the changes her parents are going through after the attack from their neighbor, and also just going into her 8th grade year, and the fact that her best friend is really into boys, you know, and a lot of the people in her like age range are really into, you know, dating and crushes and wanting to kiss and touch, and she's not yet. And I'm really enjoying this book. I love it so much. It's really good. I see a lot of 8th grade Nox and 8th grade Lizzie. Not exactly the same. Lizzie hasn't had any crushes. I did have crushes by the time I was in 8th grade, but again, asexuality is a spectrum, and but certain things where people are talking about like kissing and like touching, and I remember being like, I'm good. But I'm also getting incredibly frustrated, not at the book, not at the book like as its existence, but at people in this book, because Lizzie's having a hard time finding people to tell about this and to ask questions, and so she goes to her favorite teacher, who it's her last day before she leaves for maternity leave. It's her science teacher, who introduced the idea of the asexual plants. And I'm going to read this part that really frustrated me. While a text review would look a lot more like this. Sigh. Oh hey hun, you started out so strong. This book is part explanation of how MLMs work and part memoir, and that combination works really well for it. With the author sharing her personal experiences with Rejuvenate, you can see just how manipulative the company is and eventually how manipulative she becomes. The MLM really pulls people in deep, and even when they start to question things, they're gaslit and manipulated into looking past it. What I can't get past, however, is how many times she mentions that white supremacy and her own privilege are so intertwined with the MLM. Yet she doesn't seem to have learned from that even when she realized how toxic, for lack of a better word, rejuvenate was. It comes across as, I was pulling away so I'm not tied to this whatsoever. But when you are still part of a company that was posting blackface pictures in May 2020 and had higher-ups that were at January 6th, you are in fact complicit. You can say how you were a part of the problem in a different way as much as you want. But despite all of that, despite knowing how violent it is, that wasn't what made you leave? Not that I needed to make excuses for clueless white ladies, but the reason they've been careless or clueless is that they are insulated from the cultural context, since most of their social circles are also white. Perhaps they don't know better, so they can't do better, but it's not that different to venture out of their bubble to learn. That is still making excuses, Emily. You started with, I don't need to make excuses, and then went to say, well, all they know is other white people. You said it yourself. It's not that difficult to leave your bubble and learn. And the fact is that at this point in time, as you are writing this book, you have been learning. My words have fallen on deaf ears, so I stopped trying. Instead, I continue to ignore the disgusting behavior I see among other reps and curate my own social media feed to serve me and my mental health better. In the end, that's essentially what Rejuvenate told you to do with people who are anti-MLM. I'm not saying go and follow bigots and not protect your mental health on your social media. I'm saying that you decided to actively ignore the behavior of the group you were still a part of and, by your own admission, stop trying. Oh god, that's gonna be a lot of editing. Number 3 is, what is the book that made you a reader? Whether it was your first favorite or the one that got you hooked, which book started it all? And like most things in life, I could not just pick one answer. As a kid, I absolutely loved the A to Z Mysteries books. I think those helped get me into reading, but the Warrior Cats series by Aaron Hunter are the books that got me hooked. One Christmas, every person in my family bought me the latest Warrior Cats book. I had 3 copies of Dark Shadows, and it was amazing. And I really do want to go back and reread the Warriors Cats books. I even did one of the monologues from one of the characters. It was absolutely amazing. It was a book report. I feel like I should clarify that. It wasn't just going around monologuing like a warrior cat. Honestly, though, with the amount of time I spent on the Warrior Cats wiki, I probably would have gone around monologuing like one of the Warrior Cats. Oh, God. Number 4, do you have a genre niche? Are there certain genres that you gravitate towards, or do you read widely across genres? I've said it before, I'll say it again. I can't really have a genre niche because I do think I'll read anything except for dystopian, dark romance, and romantasy. I just can't get into them. But other than those 3, I'll try pretty much anything. I've been on a real nonfiction kick this year, as well as, again, I'm not sure what its actual category is, but Japanese slice of life stories, the ones that feel like magical realism, like Before the Coffee Gets Cold and the Full Moon Coffee Shop. I absolutely adore those books. They warm my soul. They're absolutely amazing. But I just can't get into only reading a specific genre or primarily reading a specific genre, I guess. And so I don't really have a niche there. Number 5, do you generally prefer character-driven stories or plot-driven stories? 100% character-driven. If I'm not interested in the characters, it's really difficult for me to get into the book. And it's not necessarily even that I have to like the character, I just have to care about them a little bit. On the other hand, though, if the plot's not the best, I might not like the book as much, but I'm still going to be able to get into it and find some enjoyment from it probably if I do enjoy the characters. So that's that, said the cat. Where did I get that from? It's a ghost. Am I about to be robbed on camera? Am I gonna get robbed? It's a sin! Hi. Hi, it's the next day and I'm finally getting to finish this video. My partner came home and immediately had therapy, so I could not record for the rest of it, and then I restarted my concussion. I'm having quite a time. But anyways, question number 6. What's a book that you love so much you don't care if others don't like it? It's that one book you love enough for everyone. And I absolutely loved What Happened to Ruthie Ramirez by Claire Jimenez. I know it's not the most popular book. I've seen people say things like they don't like how much cursing it has, things like that, but the voice in the book is so raw and so real to me that I just could not help but being pulled in. I absolutely adored it. Number 7, what's a book that you love so much that if someone doesn't like it, you know that your reading tastes don't align? The book or books where a difference in opinion is a strong indicator of different reading preferences. This is really hard for me to answer because, like I said, I read so many different genres, so many different kinds of books that at first I really couldn't think of an answer for it. I will say that this definitely does change by genre, but the first book I did think of was All These Sunken Souls, which is a black YA horror anthology. The thing with anthologies is that if there is nothing that you enjoy in the anthology, then I'm not sure if our tastes align because anthologies tend to have something for everyone. Sure, there were stories in that I did not like that well, but a lot of the stories were amazing and terrifying, and I don't hear enough people talking about All These Sunken Souls. Number 8, what's in your trash pocket? What books, tropes, themes that you know are bad but you love them anyways? Listen, do we need any more Grumpy Sunshine books? No, probably not. Do I keep them firmly in my trash pocket right here? Absolutely. I am almost immediately sold on books when I hear that Grumpy Sunshine is present, but especially when the grumpy person is a woman. Because it's a trope that's often gendered, and usually it's that the main male character is the grumpy and the main female character is the sunshine. But I absolutely love me a golden retriever, and I also just love seeing when it's flipped on its head and the main female character is grumpy. It's so good. I absolutely love it. Also, a trope that I absolutely adore, it's not necessarily one I would say is a trash pocket, but I don't think it's talked about enough, is when you find out that the person in the book is actually the author of the book. And unfortunately, I don't want to say it because then it feels like I would be spoiling it. I was going to give examples, but I don't want to spoil them. But it is a trope that when I see it, I eat it up. Number 9. Do you have any deal breakers in books? Something that, if it's present, absolutely immediately turns you off from the book. First one I thought of was the accidental pregnancy trope. I hate it with a burning passion. And also, I am so sick of shadow daddies. Please stop including shadow daddies. I don't want shadow daddies. I'm okay with shadow mommies, but I don't want any more shadow daddies, please. I also hate when there are too many twists in a book. It feels like the author is trying to make it so that you are completely taken aback and you're so surprised, and that makes them clever, and that only the main character in this book could solve it. But I love mysteries or thrillers when you're able to go back into the book and see how all of the clues connected and got to the ending. I think it's not the best writing when you have to make it go so twisty that nobody else is able to put those pieces together until you say it. I want to go back and be like, oh, that makes sense. My main example of this is The Only One Left by Riley Sager, which was actually going to be the first Riley Sager book that I actually enjoyed until we got to how there were too many twists. And also, the ableism in one of those was just not worth it. Number 10. What's a strong opinion that you have about a book released within the last year? Whether it's overrated, underrated, or just a take that you need to share. I don't know how many books I really have strong opinions of that were released like recently. I try very hard to read new releases. However, I don't do a good job at it at all. I did read You Mostly Didn't Hear This From Me though, Notes on Gossip, and it could have been better. I was really hoping for more of an analysis on the historical importance of gossip and also a cultural analysis of gossip on how gossip varies from culture to culture. Like, I'm Mexican. How many times do we hear people say, oh, I'm a chismosa? Things like that. I would have loved to hear more of a cultural analysis talking about like chismosa culture versus, let's say, European culture on gossip. And I did love the times that a historical analysis of the importance of gossip was present. However, it also became a little bit too much of a memoir for me. I didn't care. I wanted analysis. I wanted culture. I wanted history. And it was not what I wanted whatsoever. It was about a 2-star read. If anybody does know one that does have a cultural analysis of gossip, please let me know. Please. I really want to read that. Number 11. What do you look for in writing? What makes a book stand out to you? Is it prose style, themes, voice, structure, something else? And I love lyrical writing. I think Amal El-Motar and Anna Marie McLemore are wonderful examples of the kind of writing that just pulls on my brain. That was an image. But they just throw a little line and there's a hook and it goes into my brain and then they pull me and I'm going along with them and it's so good. I do prefer nonfiction to be more straightforward and to not assume that the reader knows the basics. Again, a great example of this is It's Not Hysteria, where it's just baseline assumption is you don't know shit. And that's great. I need more nonfiction books to have that assumption. But when it comes to fiction, I love me some lyrical writing. Number 12. How do you decide what to read next? Do you plan ahead, mood read, or follow external factors like hype, recommendations, arcs? So I'm mostly a mood reader. I do let buddy reads and reading challenges dictate a lot of what I read, but unfortunately this means that my NetGalley ratio is an absolute nightmare unless I pick a book up so I can talk about it for Feminist Book Club. So through FBC, I've read books that I didn't think I would be reading, like Sister Wife, Wuthering Heights, Holly Madison's memoir Down the Rabbit Hole, 107 Days, which is Kamala Harris's new memoir. I've read a lot of books that I was not expecting to read for FBC. Outside of that, the main thing that drives what I read and when I read it is vibes, what I need in the moment, or is it due in like 2 days on Libby and I can't renew it anymore. If I can renew a book forever, I'm going to. But if I can't renew it anymore, that's when I'm like, okay, I gotta sit down and read this. Number 13. Where do you get your inspiration for your booktube content? What sparks your video ideas? Other creators, trends, personal reading experiences, and honestly, it's all of the above. Sometimes I see something that's happening online and it gives me an idea. Other times the idea comes from something that I'm just doing in life. So I want to make a video reading books that I recommend in Tiny Bookshop because I was playing Tiny Bookshop with my partner. Of course, I do get a lot of inspiration from other creators. I try to make videos that I would want to watch. So I would love to do long form experimental videos. I love having a long-term project. It's something to keep me going. And so those are things that I really look forward to. If I get inspired by another creator to do a video though, I will try to always give credit where credit is due. and say, hey, I was watching this video and it spurred this idea, or they made that video, I'm like, I want to do that, and credit who I saw it from. Because I also believe that while inspiration is vital to the creative process, you should also credit that inspiration. Number 14. If you can make any book go viral right now, what would it be? A book you think deserves more attention and why? This year in February, I read What Happened to Berlin by Ana Elena Correa, and I think more people should read it, especially if they feel that we're currently losing hope. It really shows the power that community has when they band together, and honestly, while it's both frustrating and makes you want to punch something sometimes, there's also a lot of hope on how things end. I would also say falling back in love with being human, even if you are a poetry hater. There's really something in it for everyone, and also my ADHD brain loves the fact that it has action items is absolutely amazing. Number 15. Who are some booktubers with similar reading taste to yours? And that's the thing, I don't really know any. It's not that I have ones that I'm just like, I don't like anything that you read, but I don't think I've found booktubers where I'm like, yes, okay, if you like it, then I'm definitely going to pick it up. I do have some where it's a little bit of the opposite. I know that with some books that Reads with Rachel hates, I might actually enjoy because she loved Furyborn and I was meh about it, but she was about Caraval and I enjoyed it at the time. But even then, it's not like, oh, 100% if Rachel hates a book, I'm gonna love it, because she hates a lot of books that I also hate. So I guess that's another reason for this tag, is if you have similar reading taste to me, please let me know, or if you think I might have the same reading taste as you. But with that said, hey, I finished the tag. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below what you think I should read, or like I said, if you have similar reading taste to me. Don't forget to stay hydrated any way you can, take your meds if you need to, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all next Saturday with a video because 'tis the season for the Goodreads Choice Awards, and I am going to be predicting what I think will be in the Goodreads Choice Awards, also what I think will win, but I'm just going to share what I think is going to make it into the Goodreads Choice Awards. Should be very interesting because, as I said, I don't read a lot of new releases, so this is really based on what I see on TikTok and Instagram. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. May the spoons be with you. Bye.